Okay, AJ, here's the plan. Every single episode of Gamescast from here on out till the end of time, you'll have the headline, and then you'll have the secondary headline, and that's never going to change. It's always going to say until the end of time, Arken Age sells big. But here's the kicker, AJ. We're never going to talk about it on this show.
Oh, I love this.
Right?
Just
All right,
have
you
you
guys were here.
plaster on every episode.
You guys were here for the birth
Address
of the inside joke. Yep, this is how it's going to work.
What the hell is behind me? Can you see? What? Oh,
I've seen a horror movie that starts this way. What are you talking about?
I don't know. I saw something behind me in my camera and I couldn't tell what it was.
But you're still alive, so that's promising.
Yeah, maybe it's Slender Man.
Whoa, that would be cool. I'd be down for that. Down for that.
I bet you would. You'd be like, "Hey, Slender baby." You'd be like, "You'd be like, no, you get back here."
Yeah, Slender Man's too tall for me. Okay. Okay. I like him short. I'm sorry. That's just if you're tall and you're like, Brian, I have this major crush on you. I'm sorry. I was like, sorry. You got to be short, or I'm not into it. And with that out of the way, should we start this show? I don't even know where to go with this.
It's pretty good. It's the best start we've had in a while.
It's been a while.
No, and it's ruined. Okay, let's go.
This is PSVR Gamescast Live. We film live every single MonJay, Wednesday, and 2 Wise Friday right here on YouTube. We do it live, 6 p.m. Eastern, for your viewing pleasure, your visual splendor. You can smell us if you get real close to the monitor, too. But we also care about your oral pleasure. That's why we put this thing up on podcast services mostly on time. Sometimes it's been my fault. Sometimes it's been Rypop's fault. I apologize for the last couple podcasts. What are you going to do? Podcast services of your choice. My name is Brian Paul from this channel right here without Parole. And this gentleman over here to my left, you are right, the newest Quest ambassador. It's AJ from the Underground, PSVR Underground.
What is up, Brian? What is up, Gamecats?
Nice.
Happy Monday.
So
and I know that Mondays usually suck. Yes, it's true. But we are here, Brian, to really ensure their Monday sucks. Just a little bit less. Hey, you know what? I've noticed your new favorite word.
Yeah, what is it?
Do you know what your favorite new word is?
I mean, got a few. What is it?
Is it your safe word?
No, poodle.
Splendor.
I don't say poodle very often.
Splendor. I've heard you say splendor at least once per episode now.
Are you not scared?
It's like
of
a thing
Splendor
now.
Man?
Oh, by the way, something else. I'm already changing the subject again.
Okay.
Brian, should we or shouldn't we bring back should we or shouldn't we?
Oh.
No, what? I think it's a should we.
I mean,
I'm surprised that I think we just forgot about it. Like I think we just forgot.
I felt like we had a conversation at some point, like you, me, and Dave. We're just like, why does it have to be like a segment? Why can't we just talk about what we've been doing and tell people whether it was a good movie that we saw or a good album that we heard? It doesn't have to be like, okay, start the timer.
I'm not saying it needs a dedicated segment. I'm just saying we don't use should we or shouldn't we. And shout out to Twitcher for bringing this to my attention like a month ago. And I was like, and I've been totally forgetting, but I was like, dude, that's just an easy way to say recommend or don't recommend.
Okay, and I was on board until you said Twitcher was behind it.
Dang it, I'm sorry, Twitcher. We've been made. Plan B, Covert Eagle.
Wow. So I'm assuming you did something fun since the last time I saw you, and you're like, I wish I had 60 seconds to talk about this and tell people whether they should or should not be looking, playing, watching, or doing the thing that I was looking, playing, watching, or doing?
No, I just thought it was cool to.
No.
I just thought it would be cool to bring that back. And no, all I've been doing is playing Demio battles. That's still all I've been doing since last week. And
wow.
And then I have like 25 hours in Demio battles. I love Demio so much. That's why I'm even wearing the shirt. Thank you, Twitcher, who also says.
Have you been playing it by yourself this whole time? Or did you get online and play it with people?
No, I've been playing by myself.
Oh my god,
dude! Demio you can play single player. I understand there's some kind of weird like effect. Like I don't know. It's like time alters every time I say you can play Demio single player. It's like Tommy Lee Jones comes out and just flashes people with his little pen from Men in Black, and everybody forgets and nobody remembers.
Okay. Listen, that's fine. I'm glad you're having so much fun playing it single player. I kind of wish you would have been like, yo, Brian, come play with me, and we could. Because I still haven't started it.
It's PvP, dude. You wouldn't have a chance.
Wow.
I have 25 hours, and I've got like 30 or 40 hours in the first Demio. I'm pretty good at it now.
Did you not know that I'm just naturally great at video games? Is this something you're unaware of? Like the first time I play a game, I just kick ass at it, and I'm like, why is it so easy? Why is everyone complaining about the difficulty?
You're actually better at games than you give yourself credit for. I think you've gotten better, to be honest with you. I think that's what happens after you play 500 games across the span of a couple of years. I think you just naturally get kind of better at them. And I think that's happened because, yeah, I think when we first met, I kind of knew you or assumed that you were pretty terrible at everything we played and kind of laughed.
Everything, period.
Just like everything. Yeah. no, that we played games. Yeah. Games. No, but like usually when we play games, like sometimes like you're leading the charge or like you're kicking all the ass and or kicking my ass, and especially multiplayer. You kick my ass in like every multiplayer game.
I mean, definitely not when it comes to modern military shooters. Like I am like, you put me in Firewall or Breachers or anything like that, and I will be like the first one to die every single time. I'm constantly being, constantly hiding behind everyone else. That is a genre I don't think I'm ever going to get good at. Still enjoy, not good at.
Yeah.
So it's a should we? Demio battles. It's a should we?
Yeah, I think it's a should we. Even single player. If you like Demio, it's just more Demio, and I think Demio battles is should we. Considering I have 25 hours in it and want to play more, I'd say yes. It's not perfect, but it's a should we.
Well, for my should we or shouldn't we, I have a surprise. Surprise. Yeah. Well, I don't. Maybe the game won't be a surprise, but the result is a surprise, and that's Ancient Dungeon. Dude, listen. I love Ancient Dungeon. It's one of my favorite PSVR2 games. When they added multiplayer, I was kind of like, I don't care. And I started playing multiplayer, and I was like, you know what? This is really fun. I get to share one of my favorite PSVR2 games with a lot of other people, and it's crazy playing with like Rhodey, who knows like all of the relics and just can tell you what we're, as soon as I pick up one relic, he's like, okay, now we're looking for this relic to, enhance the thing that you just got. Like he understands this game on a deeper level than I, probably will for a long time. It's a great game, but dude, I spent 5 hours playing this in multiplayer over the weekend, 2 different days. Sorry, what is that? What is that? Why don't I have a producer for this show? There it is. Spent 5 hours playing this, different people, different groups of people, and just grinding. Wanting to be like, I want to like level up. I want to level up my weapons. I want to like buy everything else on the insight board because we're about to get a patch that gives us more stuff to buy and more stuff to unlock. So I kind of wanted to get caught up. 5 hours, dude. Multiple gameplay runs. I was on New Game Plus on one of these runs. The game's busted, dude. The multiplayer you should just not play the multiplayer, period. Every single time I tried to play, the game ended with it crashing, somebody getting kicked out, and then the game ending, or just whatever, man. Something was always crappy. Or time we beat the final boss and nothing happened, and we just sat around being like, oh, we killed the final boss, but there's no way home. We just stand here in the void. There was always a problem, and so it was basically 5 hours down the drain. I loved it. I got to hang out with my friends and have a good time, but it was made zero progress. Didn't get credit for any of the 5 hours that I played because there was always some kind of problem. And that sucks.
Yeah.
And that sucks. So hopefully Eric can get out a couple more patches, kind of clean up the experience, because overall it's still really fun. It's really, really fun. And occasionally you'll get through without a glitch. But Twitcher says the single player is a bit busted too. Jesus, I haven't even played the single player since multiplayer came out. Anyway, it's like Nick says in the chat, Ancient Dungeon is a should we wait? Yes, we should.
Did this happen after we played? Because you and I played through the whole game, or we played through at least one full run and had like, besides little audio issues, there was nothing else.
It just depends. It just depends on like did we die on the final boss when you and I played? Is that what happened? Or did we make it?
We made it.
Oh, we did. Okay.
Yeah, I cool. Remember. I got my throwing Buster Sword.
Oh, right. Well, listen, it's all about it. There's a lot of, I mean, obviously when it comes to bugs, it's going to be sporadic. Rody and I, I was like, I had never completed a New Game Plus, and we were on a solid New Game Plus run. And I was like, oh, we're going to get so much insight and whatever for finishing this. This is really going to help me. This is going to be like a great beginning to my weekend where I'm going to like, grind the whole weekend. And dude, and so we could have opted out at any point. We could have said, no, we don't want to do another run. And we probably could have gotten back to the lobby with everything that we deserved, but we were on New Game Plus and the game fucking crashed. And so it was like, so my experience has just been awful. But again, the game is great, and I'm glad it's awesome. Good. Lee Bailey in the chat says, I literally just came out of multiplayer Ancient Dungeon, beat the final boss, no issues. And that's what happened to me the first time. And then we did New Game Plus, and that was fine. Then we did New Game Plus, and it crashed. And I was like, no, we should have dropped out while we were ahead. So yeah, your results will vary for sure.
Yeah, as per usual.
Right. Exactly. But it was, like I said, it was still fun, and it's still fun. I'm really glad I got to get in there and hang out with friends, shoot the shit, and it's called quality time. So, and that was the highlight of my weekend, AJ, because nothing else happened of any significance this weekend.
Nothing at all.
Happy birthday, PSVR2.
Happy birthday, PSVR2. I actually kind of regretted not doing like a anniversary stream, thing. But I think this is a good this is actually a good segue. I know we do have a Gamecat name change to get to. Maybe we should do that first.
You want to do that first? Let's do that first.
Yes, because first, before anything else, we would like to thank those who support us in another way by changing their name to something Gamecat related, or something Gamecat adjacent, as you and something Gamecat adjacent like to say. And this week we have one new Gamecat to welcome to the Gamecat Dojo. Starting with Taluscat.
Starting with? It's just the one. Bing. and also shout out to Taluscat, who is so patient. We went to give him a shout out on last Monday's show, and then we failed to. It was on the run of show, and it's easy to just plow right past the intro stuff when you're shooting the shit and talking about the should we's and shouldn't we's of the past week. So Taluscat, thank you so much for changing your name. Remember, guys, if you want to get a shout out for changing your name to something Gamecat adjacent, don't forget to put hashtag Gamecat in the comment section of any Without Parole video, and then AJ will give you a shout out on next Monday's show.
All right. You know what else you can do, Brian?
What?
You can either leave a comment on any video after the video, don't do it live, or go to the Discord. Make sure you join our Discord. It's the best people you will ever meet in your life, the best gaming community you will ever see.
With this, there's exceptions.
Y'all are the best. I don't care what Brian says about you. You can go there and leave a viewer takeover question where and if it's good enough, we will answer it and talk about it. And I think we're going to do that right now because Shades of Gray Matter, what up, Shades, went to the Discord and asked hashtag viewer takeover like a pro and said, in a recent interview, Shuhei Yoshida has claimed Jim Ryan, please don't make me say that name, forced him out. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me restart this. In a recent interview, Shuhei Yoshida has claimed Jim Ryan forced him out of his role as head of Sony first-party studios so he could be replaced by Herman Holst. How different do you think the launch of the PSVR 2 would have been if Shu had still been head of first-party studios? What, if anything, do you think would have changed?
So just to clarify, AJ, because I don't keep up with a lot of this, I hear the names and I see them talking, but I don't keep up with like who's the head of what and this and that and whatever, very specifically, right? Until it affects me, I kind of don't care.
Yeah.
Sort of how I am with everything in life. So she was the head of first party when PSVR 1 came out?
Yeah, he was head of PlayStation Well, it wasn't PlayStation Studios. I think they rebranded that, but he was the head of SIE, Sony Interactive Entertainment.
So we're basically saying if he had continued in his role as the head of SIE all the way through the launch of PSVR2, what would be different?
Everything. We'd get a second anniversary for one. No, I think a lot would be different. Here's the God's honest truth, man. Here's the thing. Now this is just from my opinion, and I'll be interested to hear yours. Obviously, a lot of us are hurting from this weekend. We really thought that there was, I thought myself that they didn't announce anything for State of Play, and I was like, well, yeah, it's right next to the anniversary. They're probably just going to show whatever during the anniversary because they traditionally have done some stuff to get people excited and to say, hey, it's here, ever since like Herman Hulst, Jim Ryan took over, I've been sounding the alarm. I've had major concerns over this, mostly because Shuhei is the big proponent of why PSVR exists at all, and I think that still remained the case. The difference is, I think when these guys took over, you know how sometimes like software, hardware, this stuff works. This stuff is years in the making. This is not stuff that is just made decisions and planning and development and all this marketing. That's not something that occurs overnight. So I think what I've seen, what I've been preaching about for since 2019, what I've been kind of concerned about is that these guys aren't going to care. And it's not that like Sony doesn't care. It's that it depends on who's in charge doesn't care. I actually firmly believe that the only reason PSVR 2 was released was because it was already being designed and developed for. And I think with Jim Ryan, he basically, he had some ideas for it, but he's so out of touch as a gamer and more of a businessman that it's kind of why it launched the way we launched. I think they had to launch it. And if you look at the games it launched with, Resident Evil Village and Gran Turismo, those especially, like those were expected from the prior gen because those just had a great rap. Resident Evil Village started development in 2016 with VR in mind. Now, it's not 100% the case because we did get some things like Resident Evil 4, which was added after. We got some stuff like Synapse and whatever. But I think things would be drastically different. I think they would actually, Shuhei, even to a fault, would support PSVR and has done everything in his power. And when that power was taken away, I think it was left in the hands of people that just didn't really give a shit, don't really care, and just kind of said, well, we'll price it, twice as much as it should be, and maybe make a little bit of money off of it. And if it doesn't take off, then we'll just move on. And unfortunately, it just seems like that's kind of what happened, and it's compounded with really aggressive competition from Meta, as well as just people at Sony, less and less people there that care about VR. And really, I feel like they're turning more into how do you make money versus like the Sean Layden, Jim Ryan era. I mean, Sean Layden, Shuhei, where it's like, let's not worry about money. Let's I mean, that's obviously part of it, but they're also like, it's really important to them to innovate and create and make these like, exciting, like, let's see what kind of magic we can create. And that's the big difference.
Yeah, the number of games back then that they took risks on, making sure that like The Last Guardian got funded and Shenmue 3 and I mean there was all the creativity that was there and funding these smaller games that you could almost guarantee weren't gonna make any money, like that were just gonna break even at best. And they were passionate about having those cool titles on their platform. And I think that extends to PSVR quite a bit. She was obviously, super gung-ho about PSVR 1. He was the one that revealed it at GDC 2015. We've talked about this a million times. And so like, it almost felt like it was like his pet project, something that he wanted to do at Sony. And, and it was kind of a big deal. All of these developers that we've talked to, like pretty much anyone that had a launch title for PSVR1 was invited to Sony to talk to Shuhei, to talk to other developers, to talk to the R&D team. Say, this is what we need from PSVR. This is what we think. Like, they actually got feedback from these developers to talk about PSVR1, like the design of the headset, and there was all this help that was given to the developers in order to make sure that their game was there on PSVR1 launch day, whatever. And the number of developers I talked to, even people that were there day one PSVR1, when PSVR2 rolled around, it was a completely different story. It was silence from Sony. Most of these developers didn't even know that PSVR2 was coming until it was just announced to the general public. And I think a lot of developers felt slighted by that. They were like, hey, we were there. We helped build PSVR1. Like, how come you didn't invite us back? How come there's been no communication? How come this is just not like something that you seem to care about? And so I do think that was all Shuhei's doing, right? Like, he's just so good at like the general outreach, making sure that all of these developers felt like they were acknowledged, and I just don't think that happened at all with PSVR2, which is a bad start to a generation, right? When you just you're ignoring the developers that made your first headset successful.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it comes down to Shuhei, Sean Layden. Obviously, they're really impactful, really important businessmen, but I think they also understood that part of that branding. Important branding that PlayStation has carried for 30 years now has been that kind of gamer first mentality. Like, I feel like they're kind of gamers first. You see them posting videos of them playing games and enjoying games constantly. It just feels like it's just different people are in charge now, and they're businessmen first. And they're just worried about profit margins, things like that. How do we squeeze every last penny we can? How do we make money here? And really, it just seems like the gamer first mentality, consumer first mentality, kind of took a back seat here to just like a business, running it just like a business, which is obviously like good for Sony, but that's bad for consumers. Everything that most of the stuff that Sean Layden and Shuhei did was just very like after they got their asses kicked during the PS3, the first half of the PS3, they started making pro-consumer choices, and that's how they quickly caught up. And then the PS4 was a big pro-consumer, pro-dev, like they started making those kinds of decisions, and that had like a huge boost. So I tweeted about this on Saturday, and I couldn't believe Sean Layden actually liked this, because I was like, oh no. But I was like, I don't understand how you go from some of the the best PlayStation branding it's ever seen since the PS2 era, and then you just replace them with what they got, and it's been a disaster. I mean, it's a pretty much a dumpster fire over there at Sony right now, and it's going to take some time to recover, if it ever recovers. I don't even know if it's ever going to be the same, because they've fired all of the legacy people. They fired or pushed out all the legacy people that made PlayStation what it is today, and I'm extremely concerned about where the future's going.
Everything's going to be fine. I think that's the real answer. Is everything's going to be fine. We shit on Xbox for like the better part of a decade. They didn't have anything good to show for forever. They went through entire console generations without really having many exclusives or anything interesting happening. And and then they come out, what was it, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, whatever it was, when they had this great showcase, and it was like, oh, look at this, game after game after game after game from now first party studios, things that have been purchased, and everyone goes, oh, Xbox is back on top, they've done it. And it's almost like immediately everyone forgot about the last decade. And so it's like we just have like short-term memory problems or something, because it's always like what happened today or what happened in the last week is how we view everything about everything, right? Like if there was, if we had not a state of play, if we had a spotlight on Saturday to celebrate the 2-year anniversary of PSVR2, showing off third-party games and not even reviewing any first-party games. That would have been enough. And we would have been like, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We've been like, oh, we're glad they cared. We saw some more gameplay footage for Hitman. We saw a little bit of this. We heard an update about this game. Oh, and here's a Quest game that just got ported over to PSVR2 and stealth dropped on the store, right? And we would have been like, that's fine, right? They did the bare minimum, and everything would have been fine. We have the knee-jerk reactions of being like, there was nothing happened on Saturday. It's the end of the world. The sky is falling. Oh, fuck PSVR2. It's dead. It's like, bro, this is the same shit we've been hearing about PSVR1 and PSVR2 for legitimately 9 years. It's old, it's boring, it's tiring. I empathize with everybody who's frustrated with Sony. No one's more frustrated with Sony than I am. Trust me, right? But it's like, man, it's fine, right? PSVR2 is gonna struggle along, right? It's gonna sell some decent numbers, and people are gonna buy it, and there's gonna be third-party support. PSVR2 games are selling better than Quest games and Steam games, right? It's like, it's fine, but it's just not gonna set the world on fire like we thought this generation might, right? And so it's like, listen, I'm gonna get personal here for a second. I'm gonna go full screen. Hold on. There we go. What's up, you guys? Dude, I deal with depression, okay? And it makes me not want to do anything, right? Like, sometimes I don't want to get out of bed. Sometimes Gamescast is the only thing that keeps me motivated. You see, like, the last 3 weeks of the channel, there's barely been a PSVR this week. It's just been Gamescast, right? But on top of that, like, it's like what makes things so much worse is the negativity from the community. Negativity from people being like, it's just nonstop. It's like, yeah, we get it, man. We're all on the same page. We want PSVR2 to be a bigger thing. We want it to be a better thing. We want it to be, be getting more AAA games and nonstop indie announcements, and just be more a part of the conversation when it comes to state of plays and showcases than it is right now. We all want that. But it's like, man, being like, oh man, well, I have to voice my negativity constantly. Bro, that gets to me. And it makes me like fucking I'm not being hyperbolic. I just don't want to fucking do this anymore. Okay? Because this used to be a fun, happy community. We were all like, yeah, man, the rest of the world thinks VR's dead. Fuck them. We're having a good time. Fuck them. Right? We're going to have a good time no matter what. And now it's like, man, I can't even fucking get on Discord. I can't look in the comment section without everyone being a little fucking negative prick. And I'm like, sorry guys, but that's affecting me. I don't want to do this anymore. So can we, I don't know, not all be fucking negative all the fucking time? Like, it's video games, dude. This is supposed to be a fun part of everybody's life. This is a fun hobby, right? If there aren't enough VR games, I think you need to add a hobby to your life. Like I do, right? Because this is all I do. And so I've been trying to add other things to my life to make things more positive. But man, it's been fucking crazy stressful, okay? And like, I just don't want to do this anymore. I don't. I will get back to it, right? Over the next few weeks, I've been working on like, getting over the depression and doing the things I know that will help me. But like, it's going to take time. And so we have, or had, one of the best communities on the internet. And it's just exhausting for it to be so goddamn negative. And I don't want it to be a place where it's like, you can't, voice your opinion. But it's like when every single comment and every single message I see from you is negative, 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 I'm just like, you know what? Mute. I don't want to hear it all the time. It's exhausting. Yeah,
for sure.
So like, let's be the community that goes, fuck yeah, man, VR's awesome. And yes, we're going through some tough times. And yes, we can acknowledge that. But does it have to be that all the time? I don't think it does.
No, it definitely doesn't. And there's been tons of like amazing things that have happened. Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, man, it's been, even since the PSVR1, people go, oh, they don't give a shit about PSVR2 like PSVR1 did. I'm like, actually, they gave they cared a lot about PSVR1. It sold over 5 million, well over it. They did heavy marketing with it in many ways. They didn't do everything perfect, of course, but but it's like, but they were still supporting it. Like what, 6 years in? and I get, so I get a little confused about that. I mean, it's just people just, not following along or just assuming things, like you said, just being negative, just to be negative. I like to, I like to try and be more balanced. I like to try to take like a critical approach to things, like analyze, and I do like to critique things and be critical on things here and there, because I want to see it be better, right? Like, and I know it can come off as like super negative sometimes, but really when I get like passionate or emotional about it, it's because I care, man. And that's the thing about a lot of these people, Brian. A lot of people that are negative a lot, there's some of them are just assholes, but there's a lot of people out there that truly do care. And that's why they're so passionate. And yes, they maybe go a little too far with it. They get their emotions get the better of them. And it's because, dude, video games to me, I mean, for when it happens to me, I mean, video games are my escape. They're my, when I do all sorts of different things throughout life, and video games are where I come to get away from like real life, and it's become, I mean, basically since I was a kid, like has pretty much always been my favorite medium of entertainment. And that's the thing. These are supposed to be entertainment, and yeah, if you're not having fun, then it is a problem. And some of that is, I think, justified. I think like Saturday, I was really looking forward to hearing just anything, even just a blog post. I already took down my expectations for just a blog post. So yeah, I was a little frustrated that we didn't even get that. I mean, it's like, really, how hard is it to tweet out 120, even just like a tweet saying happy anniversary PSVR2?
Right.
It's just strange to me. And like, I don't want to be overly negative, but yeah, it did bother me. It did kind of ruin my day, actually, because I was just like, wanting to celebrate this thing. Maybe I went about it wrong, because I was expecting to do a stream with you all day. And I didn't think about it until it was late at night. And I was like, why didn't I just do a stream and just have an anniversary stream and just have fun? Because that's like what you said, man. That's what it's supposed to be, what it's all about. We're here to have fun, and I do think video games are a good release or escape for people, and especially when you're dealing like mental health issues like depression, they can totally transport you to another world, and that's why video games are super important. But yeah, it was disappointing. But yeah, sorry you get bombarded with negativity all the time. I don't get nearly as much as you do, but all it takes is one negative comment to really piss me off. So I can understand if you're getting like 50 of them every video you do. That's got to drive you mad. And I don't think the people that leave those comments, half the time it doesn't even make sense anyways, or it's stupid. But the other thing is, like, yeah, I don't think people realize the mental health toll that can take on you too.
It's, I used to talk a lot about the difference between gaming now as, compared to when I was growing up. When I was growing up, it would be like, man, I got 2 games a year, right? One for Christmas and one for my birthday. Yeah. And it was like, we'd get so excited about those. And even if the game wasn't really good, you're fucking playing that game, right? Because this is like what you've got for the next 6 months or 8 months or whatever. And we didn't know anything about the people making the game. We weren't so engrossed in the industry. Like, trust me, like when My Electronic Gaming Monthly showed up at the end of every month, or the beginning of every month, whenever the hell it was, that was like my favorite day of the month. Like, I would scour that thing. I'd read through every single page. I flip through, and then I make sure, and over the course of the month, I would read it and reread it and reread it. But still, you only knew so much about the industry. You only knew so much about the people making these games. You only knew so much about what the plan was, coming forward. So much of everything that came out was still a surprise, right? Sometimes you wouldn't know about a game until the review showed up in Electronic Gaming Monthly. And you're like, shit, like, I didn't even know this was coming. It's weird that we're so entrenched in this stuff, that we know so much about it, that we know the people that work at these companies, how many people are on each team, where people are involved in the creation of these games. It's completely different than it used to be. And I think it's too much. It's too much for me. And I think it's too much for a lot of people, right? The people who are passionate about this, the people who are invested in this. I think it's like, it's like sometimes being ignorant is bliss. sometimes just being like, here's your game, have fun. You know, we didn't know it was coming. We didn't see an Aces of Thunder trailer 2 years before it comes out. You know what I mean? It's like, I think we know too much. And I think that can lead to a lot of frustration. I didn't know who the head of Sony was. I didn't know who the head of Nintendo was. I didn't know who the head of any of these companies were when I was 12, 15, 16, 17, right? It just wasn't stuff I needed to know. It was like, I just wanted to play games. And I feel like a lot of this stuff gets in the way. A lot of this stuff becomes, fuels negativity and fuels anger. And I just think, I just think that it can get very, very frustrating. And there's of course an entire group of gamers that are just out to make life miserable for everybody, right? And the shit they're talking about has nothing to do with games at all, right? I need to find a way to get back there. Anything. I need to find a way to get back there for myself, right? I'm not trying to tell anybody that this is the right path for them, but I think it's the right path for me. I think I need to know less about what's going on and just enjoy gaming like I used to.
Yeah. It was, you followed what you want. I mean, there's just the access to the information, the social landscape has changed, obviously, with like social media and things. So like, yeah, a lot of that has to do with why everything is just like information can spread. Information, misinformation, bad information, good information, all of it can just spread so fast these days. So yeah, it's tricky. And then you've got, a lot of bad faith people or self-interest, people with self-interest only. We started doing this because we just love PSVR. It wasn't anti anything else. It was like, no, like we just do this because we love PSVR. That's why we started in the first place. And there's a lot to love about it. But yeah, some of this stuff can make it hard because we just want a little like reassurance that, hey, like, the people providing this stuff actually care too. And it just seems like they don't sometimes. So it can make it hard. But yeah, I don't know. It requires a lot of critical analysis and critical thinking. And honestly, you have to really understand what's happening behind the scenes to truly like understand what's going on.
Right. And it's that, I think that's the problem. It's like, I think I'm tired of trying to understand what's happening behind the scenes, right? I'm tired of being this invested in it. It's like I just want to play games. I like doing reviews. I like doing Brian Bites, right? It's like, but I think I do need to disengage a little bit from the comments and disengage a little bit from Discord, which I have been. I've not been around Discord very much in the last couple of weeks. Now let's ride the game feeling with the $5 tip. Says I'll still be here when the games dry up. Sony brought me to VR and I ain't leaving. Love y'all.
Well, the good thing is that I think, there's still a lot of VR developers out there that are aiming to be successful and grow VR. They're very passionate about VR. And honestly, I think right now that's the biggest strength that VR has left is the community and developers. But hey,
I guess I don't understand. Like, yes, it sucks that we didn't get this announcement on Saturday, right? Or there was no acknowledgement from Sony on Saturday. That sucks, right? But it doesn't change the fact that like 2025 is looking to be a fucking banger year for VR and PSVR2 specifically, right? I mean, like Wander Fragments of Fate is like, should be coming out in the next few months. That game is looking amazing. Aces of Thunder, we're talking about some new games that could announce today. Hitman, Jesus, that's like less than a month away. I Am Cat, we're getting I Am Cat, AJ, gotcha. Right? It's like, no, I mean,
it looks good. It looks good. No, but you're right though. There are, there's a bunch of really, really good games that are coming, and I think people definitely shouldn't lose sight of that.
Right. So that's why it's like the sudden disappointment, right? I don't understand why it's not expected disappointment. And it's like, yeah, listen, even if Sony doesn't care, here's what they've given us. They've given us an awesome console to play our games on. They've given us an awesome headset to play our VR games on. Right? It's like if they never release another single fucking first party game until the end of time, the third party games are amazing on PSVR 2. They're the best versions of the game, right? Like Arken Age on PSVR 2 is the best version of the game. I don't care what graphics card you're running on your PC. Okay? You're not going to get the adaptive triggers support or the headset haptics, right? we're constantly getting the best versions of games, right? And there's a lot of third parties making games. It's like that was going to be 95% of what we were playing anyway, right? We missing out on a first party game here and there is like not that big of a deal. And I know I'm just trying to be an optimist here, right? Because obviously I love first party games just like the rest of you.
Yeah.
But
well, that's where the frustration comes from. Is Sony themselves are the ones that it seems like are holding their own device back. Like, developers, third-party developers have delivered. Some AAA studios are delivered. That's where a lot of that stems from, is like people want to see Sony deliver. They want to see Sony themselves deliver. And it's just kind of crazy that of all the things that went right, it's like, so, like, I don't know. They just want to see it do better. That's all.
Yeah. AJ, do you think all we can do is estimate. Do you think PSVR2 will ultimately end up selling as well as or better than PSVR1?
It all depends on if the games continue to drop. I don't know what the current trajectory is. I know like 4 weeks, 6 weeks into launch that they said that it was like, it was kind of on track to do so. It was like selling like 9% better than PSVR1, which really, like I said before, if everything went smooth, it's Shuhei. That's the big difference. To answer your question 30 minutes later, Shades of Gray Matter, if Shuhei was in charge of PSVR2 or was still the head of studio, PSVR2 would have sold 4 times the amount of PSVR1, not 9% better.
I think 4 times is pushing it, but I'd say they probably could have sold twice as many if they had really done a better job of marketing and making sure that they had a solid lineup, kind of following through with the hybrid strategy that we knew they had. There's a lot of things they could have done. And also, again, the backwards compatibility thing is always going to be an issue, but making sure that they got more PSVR1 games over and being more vocal about saying, hey, we understand backwards compatibility, not having it sucks, but we are supporting third-party developers as much as we can, make sure that their game makes it over to PSVR2, and then, obviously getting the first-party games there too. All of these things, there's 100 little things that that could have been better. About messaging, about marketing, selling the controller separately. I mean, we talk about this stuff ad nauseum. It's like every time I bring it up, I roll my eyes because I'm like, Jesus, people are sick of hearing us say all of these like bullet points. They're done with it. They're tired of hearing us say it. But if Sony had done it, the messaging would have been completely different. And would have been like, it wouldn't be like, oh, it doesn't have backwards compatibility. It would be like, oh, we got free upgrades to all of these games, and they look even better and play even better than they did last gen. That would have been turning a negative into a positive, which is what marketing is, 50% about.
Yeah, and make no mistake, like not everything Shuhei did or Sean Layden did was like, perfect. Like they had a lot of misses. Sure. They had a lot of stuff that didn't end up as successful as it should have been. But yeah, I do think, I sure as hell know that Shuhei wouldn't have London studio trying to create games as a service, live service games, like a studio that like taking a lot of studios they were good at managing studios. That is a big difference too, is they were really, really good at keeping studios and developers happy, and managing them well. And that's just something that I just don't see from this current regime.
Man, why is the chat always having a better conversation than us? The retro chat that's happening.
Talking about Snatcher.
Oh my God. Yeah. Time Gal. This Christ, dude. Like, here's so somebody in the chat earlier, I'll scroll back and figure out who you were. So why don't you focus more on the retro channel, Brian? And I was like, you know what? I do love retro gaming so much that it really does. Like when I get depressed and don't want to put on the headset, whatever, retro gaming is like my thing. Like I just I'll lay in bed and just play for hours, And so maybe, I think I'm gonna have to drag my Polymega over here and get it set up and figure out how to get the retro channel back up and running. By the way, retro channel link is in the description of this video, and maybe for the foreseeable future, I'll have to start splitting my time between the two things to make sure that I'm constantly doing something, and we'll be able to bounce back and forth to things that I'm interested in, when I'm not feeling the other thing. Darth Vader, the Gamecat with the $10 tip, says, come here, Brian. Gamecat's bringing it in for a big hug. Who's your good boy? Yes, you are. Thanks, Vader. I have no fucking idea how to pronounce this. M4 Sturm 12.
Nailed it.
With a $5 tip says it's fanboys thinking there are limited resources when we are the resource. We gotta lift VR in general. That's true, man. That's true. It's I think people find it very easy to mourn the losses or the perceived losses, but instead what we should be doing is celebrating the victories. We should be like, when Arken Age comes out, you gotta get out there and tell everybody how great that game is, and maybe it'll sell big.
Maybe.
Hey, AJ.
Know? Find out on next week's episode.
AJ, did you know that Arken Age sold big?
I heard this on a thumbnail possibly last week.
Yeah, dude, it was so funny. I was talking to Miles and I did Friday night's GamesCast, and then I pop into voice chat on Discord, and AJ pops in. And he goes, "I thought I watched all of GamesCast, but I guess I didn't because I didn't hear the part about Arken Age." And I was like, "Oh right, we definitely." I didn't realize till you brought it up that somehow we missed a major point. I was talking to Blake over at Vitruvius, and the big question has very much been like, how is Arken Age selling? Especially since Shadow Legends sold well enough for them to work on Arken Age for 4 years, was it? 5? I forget what it was. It was a long dev cycle, but it sold well enough for them to be able to do this. And so the question was always, is Arken Age selling better than Shadow Legend? And the answer did come across initially as yes. Okay. When Arken Age first came out in their first few weeks, it was like, hey, we're doing really well. We're selling better than Shadow Legend during the same launch period. And I was like, that's great, right? And it was like, well, yes, but you have to know how long, what kind of tail the sales will have, right? We'll continue to sell really well for the foreseeable future, and then we'll know. And so we got the answer. Blake said that Arken Age is selling 3 times higher than Shadow Legend for the same time period, and that is
woo
amazing.
Congrats, man. Well deserved. I would have liked to see it at number 1, but I'll take it, man. Any success from them, and that's the interesting thing, man. I mean, I think the timing of Arken Age, I think it was hard to place a timing on it no matter how you spin it. But I did notice that a lot of people that hadn't picked it up at launch, they were still trying to get through Behemoth and Alien and Metro, the other big games, but I have been keeping an eye on it, and I did notice it's just constantly kind of climbing. And yeah, man, that's something you do love to see, is with all the stories about, some studios not hitting their, financial expectations, things like that. You love to see, like you said, man, we got to celebrate the big wins here. And Arken Age selling, what did you say, 3 times?
3 times.
3 times the amount of Shadow Legend, which I don't know if that's what they were expecting to sell. Was their expectation to sell at least Shadow Legend, I guess?
I think that was the hope.
Yeah. And selling 3 times, that's pretty good. So hopefully that means really good things for their studio and for what they do next.
So I'm gonna put a poll up because there. Okay. No, not add option. How do I start poll? There we go. So I put a poll up because it seems like every time I talk to Blake, he mentions he's like, oh yeah, he's like, we've been working on additions for Arken Age, but the question keeps coming up is what are these additions for, a sequel? Is this Arken Age 2? Is this DLC for Arken Age? And I haven't gotten a straight answer from him. In AJ, I try to be as pro-consumer as possible, right? Because I am also a consumer, and I love when gamers buy a game and they get a whole bunch more post-launch that they weren't even asking for, that they didn't pay for. It was just like, here's a bunch of fucking free DLC, to make the game that you bought more valuable, more fun. You spend more time in it, whatever it is. There's something about Arken Age that makes me go, you guys have a great foundation here. You kicked off something great, and I don't want it to be 6 years between Arken Age 1 and Arken Age 2, right? And so like I kind of don't want them spending a year making DLC for Arken Age. I kind of want them to just get going on Arken Age 2. And so that, like I said, I think they've got such a great foundation here that they can probably cut the development time in half, right? They've already got a great graphics engine. Everything seems to be running really well. They've got all the haptics and adaptive triggers in place. The core, foundation of Arken Age is there, right? So what do you need? More enemies, more story, more levels, right? Some more weapons, some more gadgets, all that stuff, right? But it won't be there's no way it's going to be a full dev cycle. So my question for you and the audience is, with all that in mind, what would you rather have them be doing? Would you rather have them be making DLC for Arken Age, or just have go full throttle right now in Arken Age 2?
I think, me personally, I'd be happy with either one, to be honest. But I think for me personally, I'd like to see them add DLC to the game and add, additional environments, new weapons, new enemy types, kind of take what they've got there and just add to it and give it more deeper variety. And because I think what's already there is pretty great, and I'd love to have a reason to play through it again, but you'd have to kind of like redo some of what's already there as well for that to work for me, to be able to like play through the whole thing again. But I don't know, man. I just want more of it. So I really don't care one way or another. I do think this is kind of how you build on the brand though. Like this is how games used to be made, Brian. You remember? It's almost like this is how games used to be made. They would make one, it would be a big hit, and then they'd like use all of that, everything they did, and then just do everything better the second time. And that's why a lot of the times the sequel was always the best game in the series, because that's what would happen. They already had like the core stuff figured out, and then they said, well, now we can just double it down on everything and expand upon it and add more depth and variety. And they did that 7 times, and that's how Final Fantasy VII was made. The greatest game of all time. They've made 16 games. I think I don't know. The only other option is to go No Man's Sky on it and like add to the game, expand upon it, and also change some of the tweak and make even better some of the core stuff from the beginning. Yeah. What about you?
Sorry, I was stuck on Final Fantasy VI being the best game of all time.
No.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VI is good, but 7 is...
Yeah, 7 is good. 6 is...
perfection.
Chef's kiss. No. It's been so long since I played Final Fantasy VI that I've been saying for decades that I'm like, it's the best one. I don't fucking remember. Chrono Cross, however. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, Chrono Trigger. I guess I should be saying Chrono Trigger. Chrono Cross was the PS1 one, right? God, what is
you're thinking Chrono Trigger.
Yeah. Although I played Chrono Cross in college. That was amazing.
I found Chrono Cross at Goodwill like a couple of years ago. And I was like, hey, I will take you home with me.
You find that game a good home. Here, hold on a second. Hold on. We're going back to the screen here.
We're at Leo AI.
We got some good tips here. So let's talk to everybody. We got Leo AI with the 20 Sekiro says, screw Sony, Hitman VR in 4 weeks. That is positive. That is very positive.
Yeah. And I agree. Also, screw Sony. Like, I don't give a shit about Sony anymore. Screw them. But I do like PSVR2 a lot.
Are you about to make an announcement for your channel? You're gonna tell the world that you already know?
No, but I do have a backup plan just in case things go south.
Yeah. My backup plan is retro. Dude, we were talking before the show, like, oh, everything's going to be fine. VR will be fine. It'll just take a little while, like maybe 5-10 years, like things will be like on fire with VR, you know, and if PlayStation's not part of that, who the fuck cares? There's always the VR's going to, I was like, no, I'm good. There's a reason we don't cover Quest games on this channel. There's a reason I don't do PC VR. And I'm sorry to everyone who's like, Brian, who's been begging me to do Quest and PC coverage for, years. I'm sorry. Like, I get it. You like that. I'm not a fan. So I think if PSVR2 is the end of the road, then it's like, that's the end of the road for my time in VR for the time being. I'm sure something else will come along that excites me about it.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm still excited about it, if I'm still having fun, then that's just where you'll find me. And I care about VR at the end of the day. Like, I think all VR is awesome. I like the Quest. I love PC VR. I just have always liked PlayStation VR. It's just, I'm a gamer first and a VR enthusiast second. Even though it's like a big important part, it's like, no, I just like playing actual games in VR. And really good ones. And yeah, man. But there's still a lot more to look forward to, like you said. But yeah, if ever like it just goes completely south, like I'm probably still gonna be there playing VR. It just might be on a different headset, or it might be on PC. And honestly, dude, what's on PC right now is basically everything we've dreamed of. And this is all just modders and independent modders and everything doing this stuff. The reason I like I like the PlayStation ecosystem. I always have for a long time. And I like generating a business out of this, generating business revenue. People can actually make a living doing this stuff and making like official VR games. I think that's always been the cool organic way to grow VR. But that being said, like if that is no longer an option in the future, like then in some ways, like I might even be better off because I just get to play the games that I actually have always dreamt of that are now possible thanks to modders and stuff. Dude,
100%.
Like Crisis and Final Fantasy VII and Returnal and first person VR motion controls. Like everything I basically wanted PSVR to be doing is like it's there on PC VR. It's just the big problem is that it's a really, really expensive way to go about it. So it's a little bit more it's a little bit less accessible because of how expensive it can be, but it's there. It's like all your dreams are there waiting, and maybe in the future cheap PCs will get even cheaper. These games will be easier to run and this will be a little bit more accessible, but that's where you'll find me if shit goes south.
Yeah, and I'm not a dude, and I'll definitely keep playing VR. I just don't know if I'd be passionate enough about Quest and PC to make that part of the channel. Just like it's a lot of time and energy to cover stuff. And so if you're not doing it because you love it, then it's not something I'm interested in watching. And for me personally, it's not something I'd be interested in doing. So while I might, tinker with that stuff in the future, I'm not gonna run a whole channel about it. Hasid Mirza with the $5 tip says, I'm trying to be positive, but it doesn't help when Heavy Rain gets a birthday tweet over the weekend and PSVR2 doesn't. Here till the end, regardless. Thanks, Hasid. Yeah, their priorities are a little fucked up.
They did this last time we got angry too. I seriously think that there's people in charge there that actually are intentionally trying to doom it. So we can fight back and say, fuck you, Sony, by, hey, we're going to still love this thing and support it. That's how we can fight back, man. We can fight with love and be like, you want to be fucking assholes about it, Sony? Well, fuck you. We're still going to have a great time. And,
we're going to make your product successful despite
in spite of you. Despite you. We're going to give you success out of spite.
Looper, the Underground Gamecat with the level 3 membership, says option 3 for the poll, I'm guessing. Says Shadow Legend remake in the Arken Age engine. Yeah, I mean, they did say publicly at one point that after they were done with Arken Age, that they wanted to get Shadow Legend over to PSVR 2. It's interesting. That game was cool. I don't know if it'll hold up. I haven't gone back and played it, but the scavenger hunt stuff was really cool. And I guess, dude, what would be really cool is if they got rid of those long loading screens, which should be really easy to do on PlayStation 5. Because remember, all the areas were really well rendered, but they were sort of small, and then you go through a door and it would be this long load time on Shadow Legend. I said in Shadow Legend because I knew you weren't listening. And so making sure you know what we're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah. It would be so cool if you like, you spawn in that blacksmith area and then you open the door and it's just the courtyard. It's like there's no loading screen. You just go seamlessly from one place to another. I would pay full price if they were able to make that happen. I'd pay full price anyway. Yeah. Anyway. Not sure Brando with the level 3 membership says, "Hey AJ, your lighting looks cozy."
Nice. Dude, I got so much flack for that last week. I turned it on like full brightness last week and I was like, yeah, people complain about it being too dark. Fine. Here you go. Here's full camera lighting sunlight exposure. And then everyone was like, it's too bright. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was going to like, cause the eyesores and stuff, but yeah, sorry, my bad. I cared this time. I tried to find a nice little balance. I hope it's nice.
AJ, can you read the next tip for me?
Yes, I sure can. Option 3. We have Leo AI with the 20 Sekiros says DLSS 4 has increased PSVR quality for RTX cards.
I just didn't want to read something in a different language that I would probably mispronounce.
That's like some Stargate like shit to you. It's trying to decipher it. Yeah, I mean, I hardly know what that means either, so it's all good.
Awesome. All right, dude, we haven't even gotten to the main story here. You guys,
we're having fun, man. That's what we're. Listen, man, I come back here every single week because I have fun kicking it with you and the cats and hanging out. Like we've been like a family for several years. Y'all have been my best friends for several years. So through good and bad, we've been through a lot of good and bad together. Like, so yeah, like I don't give a shit, man. I have fun when I come here and that's what I'm here for. So let's fucking party, Brian. Woo!
Yeah, it's we've gone through. I mean, it hasn't been a nonstop party for the last decade. There's been a lot of ups, but many more downs. So I feel like we're like a trauma bonded family. Okay. Even though I didn't understand your tip,
I'm gonna get you a trauma like PSVR blanket. It's gonna have a blanket with a little fuzzy blanket. With a PSVR on it. Okay.
Listen, astute Gamecats noticed on the PlayStation Store that there was a new game listed, and it's called Of Lies and Rain. It's obviously the headline of today's video. So I'm going to bring up some gameplay of Lies and Rain. Here it is. And this gameplay comes to us exclusively from our good friend over at True Gamer for Reels on YouTube.
Late last year, a real gamer?
I mean, a true gamer for reals.
Okay.
For reals, AJ.
Okay.
Not for messing around. For reals this time. And so yeah, a select few YouTubers at the end of last year got hands-on access with this game, and it was it was an early build, and so there was some issues here and there. But he played it on Quest 3. I guess there's some Steam footage out there as well. But the footage we're seeing here is of True Gamer for Reels playing this and kind of talking about it as he goes. I guess if you guys are interested in hearing his commentary and seeing the full video, this is a good chunk of it. This is a majority of it, but this is not the full video. The link for the full video is in the description. So definitely send some love over to True Gamer for Reels because he was nice enough to let us use this, and that is awesome. I love when the VR community helps each other out. There's a lot going on here, man. There's a lot going on here, and I kind of want to kick it off just by saying I think the atmosphere on this is very, very cool. When the Foglands came out, near the beginning of PSVR2's lifespan, kind of touting itself as the indie Half-Life Alyx, which I know a lot of people were very upset about. God. JP, right? It was like, man, like I felt like we just couldn't trust anybody anymore, right? But this definitely seems to be the first game I've seen in quite a while, at least, to really be worthy of that title, because it just has like this. It has a similar vibe, the indie Half-Life Alyx. Now, I haven't played this game, and just like what I'm showing here, I've only watched video of it, right? And I've also only watched video, AJ, of Half-Life Alyx, because I'm secretly still hoping it's coming to PSVR2, which it never will.
You're not wrong, actually. And I actually had I had the same thought process as well. This looks to be heavily inspired by Half-Life, just in general. Maybe not Alyx. Okay. I don't know. It just looks like kind of like Half-Life, which a lot of dark sci-fi shooters have been inspired by in the past. But yeah, this definitely seems like it takes a lot from there. And it's obviously a much smaller team. So it's got a little bit of that like indie look to it. It looks okay though. Like it doesn't actually it doesn't look like super like, janky indie. It just looks it looks like it's made by a small team, but they put a lot of love and care into it and a lot of effort. And yeah, from what I've seen so far, like it looks decent. I don't know how it's going to end up being. But yeah, the VR True Gamer for Reals, is that his name? He did a pretty nice like first impressions 30-minute preview of it. I watched through it to kind of prepare for the show. I usually try to avoid that stuff, but hey, we need to talk about it. So just to analyze what we saw. But yeah, it's looking I can be pretty hard on indie developers when like really, really hard on sometimes because like I'm just like yeah. Like I don't mind it being indie. I don't want low quality or low effort though.
Sure.
And this looks like pretty solid potential here. It looks like it could be pretty decent.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it jumps out at me like I know you can't hear it because we're talking over it and I have the volume down, but the voice acting seems pretty decent. It sounds pretty good. The soundtrack sounds pretty good. And is it just me? Are we not getting a lot of games that are like this? Like these single player narrative driven, especially like this setting. Like I just love this setting so much. Like the dystopian, post-apocalyptic future. It just feels like we should be drowning in these games, but we have so few of them. And so like just seeing the setting and being like, oh, I mean, looking at the footage that's running right now, it's like starts in a subway station and you're going through and it's like, oh, here's this, it seems like the story is like, AI went bad or something. And then like everybody was forced underground. It's like Metro all over again. And so here we are in like this schoolroom, this classroom, this abandoned classroom. It's, very, I don't know, man. There's something just very eerie about that being like, this used to be where they held classes and now it's abandoned. Like, where are people? Where is humanity? And so it's just the vibe immediately grabs me and says, this is a game that I want to play. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, like I said, I don't know for sure, but from what I've seen, it looks pretty decent. And yeah, these post-apocalyptic kind of games, like single player, story-driven shooter stuff, I think they're actually a pretty good fit for VR. And like you said, like I do think we've been getting more of them than we used to. I feel like we've actually been getting this generation, and last generation we were like, we're all the single player driven, story-driven campaign games. Like, last gen it was a lot of wave shooters, and this gen it's been a lot of roguelikes. But I think I do think that we've been getting more of these. Like, like we got Metro, and I thought Metro was great. Like obviously playing it, I was like, it's kind of like nothing we really never seen before, but it was like the story that set that apart. So I like that you're mentioning the story, the voice acting here, something that is usually severely lacking in indie games. So if that's something that they actually pull off well, that could help it along quite a bit, substantial amount.
There's a few things to mention here. I know that some people are already complaining about the graphics, and it's like, hey, listen, this is a pre-release version. I think this is I wouldn't even call it alpha, so take everything with a little bit of a grain of salt here. Any bugs that you might see, this is all just kind of to get an idea of what the game is going to be like. Also, it's running on Quest 3. The developers when they tweeted about this, actually, hold on, let me bring that up real quick. I'm gonna pull away from the footage just to bring up the tweet. Okay, real quick, what their responses for some of this stuff was pretty good. All right, so they announced Of Lies and Rain is coming to PSVR2, and then a link to the store page where I believe you can wishlist it. And Tipsy Sonic, if you're out there, what's up, Tipsy Sonic? Said I played the beta on Quest and I was impressed. We'll definitely hold out for the PSVR2 version if it's going to have enhancements. And their response was definitely going to look way better on PSVR2. Joe Gaslighter responded, hoping for 90 native and hoping that they'll use eye tracking tech. And their response was 90 hertz should be easy on PSVR2, but first we need to give it a try, give you a final answer, porting it right now, blah, blah, blah. So they're saying the right things. They seem like they are aware of what it needs to have, and hopefully they're going to be taking full advantage of PSVR2, adding some reflections and some better lighting, that kind of stuff, just to kind of make it really, really pop on our headset and take advantage of that stuff.
Yeah, there is a PCVR version as well, which I haven't seen yet. But yeah, I mean, that's the most important thing that these developers need to know, is that this user base will reward you, but you have to like make it a good port of the game. Right. Do not bring it over and then just have it be, the same quality as parity as Quest 3 and then be really janky, have a lot of issues. No, like people will pay for a game as long as it's like quality, polished, and everything. And that was one of the things it is in early access right now. And that was one of the things that the video pointed out. He said, like, it still feels like it's definitely still in early access, but there's a lot of promise here. There's a lot of potential, is what they were saying. So, yeah, I think people would love another story-driven sci-fi shooter, as long as it's pretty polished.
Yeah, and I mean, and so far from what we've seen, I mean, obviously, I think this video only covers like the first 20, 30 minutes of the game, and what we've seen so far is very, very promising. Obviously, everything seems to be very VRAF. You're able to pick up and interact with a lot of items. You find a dead body very quickly, and it has decent ragdoll physics. You can kind of like just pick it up and drag it, move it around. It seems like it gives you lots of reasons to explore. That's, I mean, one of my favorite things about any video game, especially in VR. And when the reason to explore is for a decent progression system, that makes it even better, right? At one point, True Gamer for Reals goes into this kind of upgrade station, and you start seeing all the stuff that you can upgrade by finding these GPU cubes around the environment, right? They're all kind of hidden around, and you just grab them and hold on to them until you can use them. And so, some of the stuff that it lists here, it's kind of like, I called them augments. I don't know how Deus Ex this is going to get, but it seems
the more the better.
I mean, yeah, the more the better. Where the fuck did Deus Ex go?
Like, dude, I have no idea. I don't know what happened. Oh man, yeah, that studio. I don't know. That studio's been. I think they got bought. Was it Crystal Dynamics?
I think didn't Square buy them, and then like Square sold off like everything they owned.
I think they bought Crystal Dynamics and then sold Crystal Dynamics. Yeah, I don't know, but Deus Ex, man, one of my favorite of all time for sure.
Hey Jay, know it'd be great in VR.
Deus Ex,
pretty good.
Where's that VR mod? At least get us a mod.
I don't know. Anyway, but some of the stuff you can upgrade. Look, with the very first thing you upgrade, I think it's kind of. It feels kind of tongue-in-cheek. Like you see this almost like an access card, some swipey card on the other side of a like grate, right? Some jail cell type thing, and you can't grab it. But the very first thing you upgrade is the kind of force grab that every VR game sort of already has by default, and so your very first upgrade is literally just.
I saw that.
Right? I was like, that's kind of cute. Like. It feels tongue in cheek. Like I don't think they're taking themselves that seriously. They're like, hey, the first thing you're going to upgrade is sort of like Max Mustard, like the first thing you buy from the store.
Yeah, you can buy snap turning. I'm like, really, guys, you're really padding this out. But hey, I need this snap turning, so let's go with this. Like, right. it still gives me that dopamine hit. Like I accomplished or was rewarded with something. So.
Yeah, but beyond that, which is funny. So you upgrade your character, and then you're able to walk up to the grate and just pull it through and be like, okay, cool. But then it's like upgrading your health and the number of shots in a magazine, the number the damage that you cause, then weapon upgrades like laser sights, rate of fire. Then there seems to be this whole platforming element where you're using your gravity gun type thing to be able to jump, and then double jump and triple jump. And so it's all this, and it just seems like there's a ton of upgrades. And so it, dude, while I was watching this, I kept wanting to look away. I kept wanting to not watch and see what was happening, and see what was coming next, because I want to experience this world for myself. But I'm really, really glad that I saw that whole progression system, the upgrade tree, because that to me is what I'm going to be very, very excited about.
Yeah, I think with this, at least like just like from observations, just quick 30-minute observation, what this kind of lacks in maybe production values, it kind of looks like it makes up with like design and mechanics, and like is a progression, and if the gunplay feels really good, that'll really, really help. But yeah, lots of potential here, I think. Well, solid potential.
Yeah, I'm going to be really curious to see how the combat pans out, because we don't really see a lot of combat during this video. It's kind of like some spider things on the ground, and some things around the environment, like caterpillars that hang from the ceiling and shoot lasers at you. But it's not like, it doesn't seem like super intense yet. Obviously, this is just like sort of the training area and getting the player acclimated to how to reload weapons and all that. So I didn't expect it to get crazy, but I am interested to see like what kind of enemies we'll be fighting, if there's boss enemies, because if there's not boss enemies, fuck it. And it's and obviously all this stuff that doesn't look so impactful on the Quest 3 version, I think will be much more impactful with some strong adaptive trigger support and strong haptics and all that. So I'm really hoping that that's the stuff that pans out, because it feels like they have the exploration down and maybe some of the puzzle solving down. So yeah, hopefully that works out too.
Yeah, they have to execute it though. They got to take their time with it. Otherwise, they're going to end up with another ATEC cybernetic, and you don't want that to happen. That's honestly, I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt here, but that could easily go in that direction where it's just like shooting doesn't feel impactful. It's a bunch of just cheap feeling bad AI robots, same robot 1,000 times coming at you. Right. And you're just like pew, pew, pew. And it's like, okay, well, is this really necessary? But they mentioned like, some details like the physics of the hands. Like you said, like, he did mention like could use a little bit of polish from like grabbing objects, but he did mention things like just the subtle details, like pushing on the fingers and actually having some collision and bending, and there is some potentially can make up with without the huge budget graphics look, can make up for it with some cool interactions and physics and just good feeling gameplay, because it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look
it looks questy.
It looks a little questy, but I think if it's a good game, then I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. I've got a million questions that I reached out to the developers. Hopefully they're going to see my email. I'm very curious to know if they're porting this internally, if they're having like VR Monkey do it or something like that. I'd actually be honestly.
Is this a studio or is this like a one-man dev?
Castillo.
Yeah, I think it's like a one-man team, so probably doing it themselves. Maybe a little bit of help.
So it's also coming to Steam. Yeah, Castello Incorporated. And so, yeah, I'd love to know how many people are on the team. I'd love to know if they're porting it themselves. I'd love to know because it's coming to Steam, and it's coming to Steam early access. Right now, the developer said that it's coming to PSVR2 this year. Okay, so like,
interesting.
Like that's still 10 months, but to do multiple platforms, especially if it's this small of a team, is asking a lot. And so I'm very curious to know if it's like, is this going to be out? I'm assuming it's not going to be out on PSVR 2 when it goes into early access on Steam. They're probably going to do that first, and then they're going to make all the adjustments and get it out in full release, and then then get it to PSVR 2. But like we don't actually know if that's going to be a thing or not.
You want to know how you could sell a ton of copies of this, Brian?
How?
Make the final boss Jim Ryan. Like he's the one. It says features uncover the truth behind the world's destruction and those responsible for humanity's downfall. It was secretly Jim Ryan the whole time.
I don't think that's much of it.
And then you get to shoot him at what? And then he's like, you shoot him and he falls apart like a robot. He's like actually a robot. Come on, let's make this game. Let's get into game development, Brian.
Yeah, that's what I need. Game. That's what I need.
I got an idea.
Excellent. All right. So anyway, listen, we're going to be keeping a close eye on this one. I'm very, very interested to see how this turns out. And as we get more information, we'll pass it on to you because it's very exciting. Very exciting.
I do not condone violence against anybody, by the way. Totally a joke. And that was a robot, to be fair. That wasn't actually Jim Ryan. It was a robot.
You're about to get swatted by Sony. just see a bunch of guys come in, like drag you away.
I'm not the one broadcasting here.
Oh, right. This is on me. Oh, God.
There's a breachers dude is going to come crawling down the back of your window.
Crash.
Spraying the foam.
I am not my brother's keeper. This is not on me. This is not on me. We got Awesome Tatum with the level 3 membership says, we got a teaser about vampire classes in Bloody Hell Hotel yesterday, so maybe there's still hope we get it soon. Yeah, did you see that on Twitter? You're the Twitter guy. Yeah, which is crazy because, man, Bloody Hell Hotel is, first of all, it's a game that I'm very, very excited for. But it's also just like eternally in development with not a lot of updates as they go. You'd think that this would be the kind of game with just non-stop updates.
They went pretty silent for a while, right? Like they went dark.
They went real dark, which is appropriate because that was the name of their previous game.
Is it Unfold Games? Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
It was called Dark. It's Dark with a Q.
Yep. Which, dude, must have sold insanely well because that's obviously funding the 10-year dev cycle of Bloody Hell Hotel. Yeah.
What was that?
Here, I can bring up the. It's an interesting roadmap because it doesn't really say anything, as far as I know, about when the game's actually going to release.
Classes.
Yeah, which I don't know. I guess I just wasn't really thinking about Bloody Hell Hotel as a game that would have classes. But it is essentially a dungeon crawler / hotel management sim simultaneously. So I guess the dungeon crawler aspect makes a lot of sense to have that. But yeah, let me bring this up on the screen here. Here we go. So yeah, they have this whole thing. It's roadmap ? But to my knowledge, I skimmed this yesterday, and I don't think. So as for the game itself, you might have noticed we're taking our sweet time. Did we announce the game too early? In retrospect, yes. That said, if we hadn't, we wouldn't have gotten all the amazing feedback from the community that's helped shape the game into something 10 times better. We've added a ton of great ideas, many of which came from you, whether on Discord or Steam. We've also cut things that didn't quite resonate. RIP large heads. Welcome, slightly smaller heads. As for the updates, our approach has always been to hold off on constant teasers until we're actually getting close to release. We're trying to avoid generating needless hype before we're able to announce the launch window. We'll continue posting devlogs, and a much more exciting one is coming next. This one is mostly meant to address the roadmap delay because no news is hopefully better than radio silence. The moment we get the green light to share the roadmap, we absolutely will. Though this time, we'll refrain from guesstimating when we've learned our lesson. And then they go on and talk about the different classes that you'll see. Talk about hold on. Let's look at this first class. We don't need to go through all of them, but the first one is the Dark Strider. And the only reason I want to talk about this a little bit, AJ, is because seeing what the unique abilities are in the combat style, I think gives us a little more insight into the game that we know nothing about, right? We know very, very little about this game. And so reading about what the classes are like and seeing what some of the classes are able to do suddenly gives us an insight into what we'll be doing in this game. So the Dark Strider allows for pickpocketing and lockpicking. It says the only class capable of stealing from guests and unlocking their suitcases, a great source of extra income if you don't get caught. Stealth expertise with moves undetected, silences footsteps, and can slip past obstacles unnoticed. Skill tree, focused on stealth, invisibility, counterattacks, poison, speed enhancements, and deceptive tactics to outmaneuver enemies and strike with deadly precision. Here's the funny thing, AJ. While I've visualized this game in my head, I thought about the dungeon crawler aspects of it. I didn't think about like what being in the hotel itself would be like. and the fact that like one of this class's abilities is pickpocketing and lockpicking like guests' suitcases. It's like, oh, you're going to be doing a lot more like above ground than I anticipated. I thought that was just going to be like the management sim. And it's like, pretty bare bones as far as like the gameplay elements were concerned. But I guess I was wrong. And then of course all this combat style stuff, high dexterity, weapon of choice, ambush tactics, parrying and counter.
There's a lot of stuff in here actually.
Yeah.
Like this goes on and on and on and on for a while.
Like a long time. Yeah, like with 4, 5, 6, is it 5 or 6, 7 classes, 8, 7 class. Oh my god. Okay. Anyway, very interesting. Very interesting. I'm looking forward to their next update. I would love to know. I'd love to have an idea of when this game is coming out. They were part of our last award show.
That was the big reveal at the end. That's a good one too. Like this game looks awesome and just looks like it'd be such a fun time in VR.
They're a smart team, man. When I said, hey, listen, like even if you give us a year, even if you just say, hey, coming in 2024, right? Because it was the end of 2023 where we did the award show, and so I was like, even if you just give us like coming sometime in 2024, that will be fine. And they were smart enough to be like, we don't even want to say that because we're not sure. And here we are, 2025, and it's like, oh, well, it's good. It's good that you knew not to say that.
Yeah.
So
it's actually pretty good strategy on their part to bring it back in and work on stuff. Maybe give some details to like just those that are like, searching for it, but don't build up any unnecessary hype or anything. Super excited about it, Brian. Can't wait. I need it tomorrow or else
I'm so
I
hyped.
don't want it anymore. I'm so hyped right now, Brian.
I'm so unnecessarily hyped. Wow. Miles Dyer with the level 2 membership says, happy AJ? That doesn't roll off the tongue. Happy MonJay dudes in GameCats. Happy MonJay to you too. Hopefully the spin rhythm stream you did, Miles, went well. I refuse to buy it. I have no idea. Like, just does not look appealing to me. I've heard it's good. I just, just tired of rhythm games. All right. You know what time it is, AJ? It's tool time. And I'm your host, Tim the Toolman Taylor.
Game time. You know what that's from? Does that bring you back any flashbacks?
It's game time.
It's game time. Come on, Brian. Dig deep in that memory. I know it's there somewhere. You know what that's from.
The voice you use is kind of like EA Sports. It's in the game. But I don't know what It's Game Time is from. What am I missing?
It's game time. Somebody's gonna. First person that guesses it in the chat gets a signed copy of Swordsman sent from me to them.
Wait, are you signing it?
I'm just kidding. You don't actually get that.
I never got one.
Distracted to the Home Improvement.
Yeah, Tim. I'm your host, Tim.
It's X-Play, man.
Oh, you know what? When X-Play was popular, I was intoxicated.
Oh yeah.
24/7. We didn't have great cable, or we couldn't afford cable when X-Play was popular, and so I only got to see it like at friends' houses and stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I did everything growing up because I didn't have anything, but all my friends had it, so I just no. But dude, there's a channel I'll have to link you to it that just plays nothing but like old episodes of X-Play. Adam Sessler, who I got to meet one time, by the way, and Morgan Webb. Mm-hmm. Dude, that show is still it is so good to watch. Like they'll talk about like Metal Gear Solid or Jack and Daxter or something, and it's just got this awesome vibe to it. It's got a little bit of humor. It's got great reviews. Dude, watching reruns of X-Play is a should we.
And Tommy Tallarico's on sometimes, right?
Who's that?
It's a long story. I've got a documentary for you to watch. All right.
Okay.
Let's fucking go. It is time, guys, for a little 4-minute challenge, then we'll get out of here. I've got a PSVR1 or PSVR2 game in my head. It's up to AJ and all of you cats out there to figure out what game I'm thinking of with an infinite number of yes or no questions, but only 4 minutes. AJ, are you ready?
I will, but before I do that, Awesome Tatum says I got to talk to Adam Sess. He's a cool guy. He's a psychopath. That dude is in another reality, and somehow we can just see him. But he is cool. Or he was nice or whatever. Okay. Anyways.
All right. Okay. All right, you guys. Let's do this. On your mark. Get Dez. Go.
Is it on PSVR2?
No.
Does it use moves?
Yes.
Does it use DualShock?
No.
Does it use aim controller?
No.
Does it use 3D rudder? You know I gotta ask.
Yes.
It does use 3D rudder?
I think it does, yeah.
Oh, I've got you fucker.
There's only 5 games that support it. You're good to go.
Is it a game where you play as wizards?
No.
Oh, it's a 3D rudder game. Oh, we've got this.
I'm picking a different game.
No. Is this a China Hero Project game?
Yes. Wow,
is it a Mortal Legacy?
Jesus, it's so fucking fast. I didn't even have a trailer ready to go. This is, in fact, 2019 game from Viva Games. It is Mortal Legacy, the Jade Cipher. That was one of the fastest 4-minute challenges ever. Pretty crazy.
It's okay, Chad. I got this. I'm gonna start the winning. The winning streak starts again today. Now.
Yeah, that was super fast. Listen, if I could pick one PSVR2 game or one PSVR1 game that hasn't made it to PSVR2 yet, I think I would go with this. And I know a lot of you would hate me for that, but I love this game so much. The production values on this were fantastic. Like, honestly, I hate saying this because we just talked a lot of great stuff about oops, what just happened? Of Lives in Rain. Was that what this game was called we were just talking about? Yeah. Like, I think the environments and the atmosphere and the enemies and the everything in Immortal Legacy just so much better. Like, I mean, just like really works. Some really insanely good production values at certain points in this game.
It was a good looking game. Like it looked like a PS3 game in the headset, which I know sounds weird, but that's actually a good thing, especially on PSVR 1. This game was way more polished than it had business being, and obviously probably had a lot of help with funding that helped it out. But they did I love this game. Like, yeah, it had issues or whatever, but this game was actually really fun.
Yeah, awesome boss fights, awesome horror moments. Like, it wasn't like maybe not a horror game. Maybe I guess it is, right? But just like really, really cool stuff. One of my favorite PSVR 1 games. Just hit all the right notes to me. Little janky here and there, little janky. But I bring it up whenever possible. I don't think this team even exists anymore. I think this game is just like lost to time. It did get a flat screen port over on PlayStation 4.
What?
And you didn't know this? Oh yeah, you can play this on the flat screen now.
I don't think I've ever. I did know this, but I've never actually seen it being played flat. How?
Same.
How?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I wonder if it's first person.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same game, just button presses for everything. I love this game. Don't listen to Nick Milo. This game's great.
He's definitely voicing his emojis in the chat.
Yeah. Immortal Legacy. That's right.
Immortal Legacy.
That guy.
Oh,
all right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. This has been a
therapeutic episode.
It has been. It's really been really good to vent and to get some stuff out there. Definitely. I said a lot of stuff earlier in the show about the community and like how I think we've gone down some path of negativity, and I really hope that I hope that didn't I hope that wasn't taken the wrong way, because I really do think that as a whole, we're dealing with the cards that were dealt, and it's a tough time for VR, and it's a tough time for PSVR2, a tough time for everybody who's super passionate about VR. And so it's like, I don't want you guys to think that I'm not there with you and not dealing with it, but it's I just think that as a group we can all handle it a little bit better. But always look forward to every episode of GamesCast and hanging out with you, AJ, and all my co-hosts, and getting to talk about VR and having a good time. So we do appreciate all of you guys for being here. We appreciate everybody who supports the channel, whether that be by changing your name to Gamecat, or helping us out by helping us out financially over on patreon.com/withoutparolegames, by being a member over here on YouTube, by tipping during the show. It is all very much appreciated, but we're just happy that you're here. We're happy that you're part of the community here in the chat, shooting the shit, helping during 20 questions, or all of you who sit back and watch the show and don't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there and we love you just as much.
And I really look forward to creating our game one day, Brian, where the final boss is this secretly like super evil, ends up being Jim Ryan, behind the mastermind behind it all. And then you shoot him in the head and then it just like sparks. And then he just starts morphing into like this ultimate like demonic robot thing. And he's all evil. And he's like, yes, I'm going to rule the world. And then you fight him and win. Roll credits. And kill the motherfucking cat, Brian, because I want to say, see you guys on West A to GC 13, the _ Diet Pepsi Cat. Says she's tearing up a little bit. No, she's tearing up a little. She's tearing up a little bit. No, she's tearing up.
Oh, not
she's tearing. She's destroying everything. Because that's what she does. Mark popping Pringles leaf. Once you mark the pop, don't stop. Dan Kiefer, he turns into Zero Mus. Steve IRE, thank you so much, man. Scott the PSVR Gamecat for life, says Ryan Bot, LOL. Guys on fist bump to you later. Flame Cat, the Game Cat. Fire, fire, fire. Gecko Man 11, the Game Cat. Thank you so much. See you, cats. Xavier, get out of my head, Charles. Aceville VR says Brian's face. What face were you making when I said that?
I don't know.
Okay. Alessandro Barato, ciao ciao. Mwah, mwah, mwah. William Soroka says, "Can I adopt you guys?"
Yes.
Brian. Yeah, Brian will definitely be adopted.
I need a daddy.
Mischievous Mark of the Underground Gamecat Elite Name Squad in the house. Hello, Gamecat Photo Nutter. I always love that name. Secrets of. Hello, thank you so much, my friend. Take care. Ben L of the Gamecat Army says this footage is going to come up at AJ's hearing.
He's not wrong.
Fifth. I play the fifth. Rody the Gamecat Army General. Thank you, General, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Gamecat Behemoth. I think I said that already. And Secrets of. Guys, I love you. You guys have a wonderful rest of the day. Robert Chant, you too. Y'all have fun. Play some games. Like, Brian and I, we're playing Ancient Dungeon and Demio battles.
Apparently.
Come on. There's lots of good games out there. Just go play and have fun. Go fly, my pretties. Fly.
And Johnny Rap Hop, the Stray Cat with the level 2 membership, ends the show by saying, remember when all you see is dark, be the light. Stay positive, everyone. Take care, and take care of each other. Good night.